What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Ad Podcast. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys all had a great holiday weekend. We are kicking off the week with an exciting guest for you guys today. In studio again, as you can see, down at the Content Factory in downtown San Diego. Today we have Starr Edwards. Starr is the visionary co-founder and CEO of Bitchin Sauce, a cult favorite almond-based dip brand that has taken the grocery industry by storm. Starr originally invented the creamy, dairy-free recipe at just 16 years old to satisfy her own raw vegan appetite. Years later, in 2010, while trying to make ends meet with a new baby, she and her husband, Luke, invested a mere $200 and a second-hand blender to start selling the sauce at local San Diego farmers markets. Today, Bitchin Sauce is a multi-million-dollar enterprise distributed in nearly 7,000 stores nationwide, including Costco, Target, Whole Foods, and Bristol Farms. All accomplished completely without taking on outside venture capital or institutional funding. Celebrated for her unique people-first leadership, Starr was named as 2026 Specialty Food Association Leadership Award for Citizenship. She is highly recognized for pioneering Bitchin Kids, a workplace program providing on-site childcare and flexible stipends so parents never have to choose between their careers and their families. Starr, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. That was such a really sweet introduction.
Let's go. Well, I think the best brands are the brands that are born out of necessity. So tell us a little bit about your founder story, if you wouldn't mind contextualizing that a little bit. So you were 16, you were needing this dairy-free recipe and you were vegan. So maybe tell us a little bit about, where'd you grow up? What got you into kind of this track of diet thinking, and was there health situations, or like what kind of got you interested in veganism, and what got you interested in almonds as kind of a source ingredient, and how did the idea come along?
So I grew up in Oregon, and my parents were super hippies.
Let's go. Mine too. My
Really?
mom, my dad was a photographer for Rolling Stone, and my wife was a fashion model, but my dad always had the peppermint Dr. Bronner soap in the shower.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my mom was doing organic shopping since way before it was cool. I thought it was so uncool at the time.
Right? If your shower doesn't tingle, is it even getting you clean?
Right? Let's go.
No, but they like my mom had access to UNFI, which is weird. That's like the United.
That's like the co-op association.
It's the co-op
right?
association, but it's for stores, for co-op stores. But she had like a personal one because she was buying bulk peanut butter and nutritional yeast and all these things.
So cool.
Which is hilarious and wonderful. But we had all these great pantry staples. And at 16 years old, I very much was like, I'm going to be a rebellious 16-year-old, but I love my family and would never do anything too crazy. So I'm going to become a vegan. We were raised vegetarian. We literally had no sugar until I was 6 years old and went to a birthday party.
Wow, that's crazy.
And they were into it. They were just so into it. And so I was like, I'm going to be a raw vegan. This is going to be amazing. And I made all these crazy dishes. But one of the things that was missing was this creamy element, right?
Mm-hmm.
A dairy element. And back then it's changed a lot, right? It's gone from veganism to plant-based, and everyone's like, oh, I'm plant-based, or I'm flexitarian.
Flexitarian, yeah, that's a good one.
It sounds so much more accessible now.
Yeah.
It was not accessible.
Yeah.
It was the raw vegan aisle was just a big cardboard stack. And it was only at some locations.
Yeah.
And so I very much was I'm going to just need to make my own thing. And I made a lot of my own things, various baked goods.
You always kind of had an interest in exploring the kitchen and experimenting.
Always. Cool. But with Bitchin Sauce in particular, the first variation of it, I experimented a lot with different nuts, experimented with different oils, and ultimately was hey, this is pretty darn good. Here I landed on a thing that actually tastes good and I want to keep eating.
Wow.
And when you don't have a lot of options and you're something tastes good, you just keep eating it.
How far is the version that we all know from the grocery store now from the original intention that you set out? Is it pretty close to
from the very
beginning?
first one?
Yeah.
Um, Maybe a little bit different. Like the very first version, I had olive oil in it, but it was really prominent, and I didn't like
Maybe a
that
little
very much.
overpowering. Yeah.
Just a little overpowering. And I tried, different nuts too, but it's not that much different. And like the farmer's market version itself, that was the first version that went to the farmer's market, that it's still that,
Wow. That's
which is
awesome.
kind of crazy when you think
Yeah,
of,
especially when you think about growth and mass production and refrigerated goods, all the challenges that come with that.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to get into the story a little bit about the manufacturing and how you've been able to keep that, purity to the product. But tell me a little bit more about the early days. So were you born in San Diego or were you born in Oregon? When did you move down to San Diego?
I feel like if I give you this, you're going to have all of my bank passwords. So I'm not going to tell you where I was born. Oh, that's a joke. I was born in Sacramento.
Okay, nice.
And then my parents moved up to Oregon. That's where I grew up. We left, kind of in a tizzy when I was 15 years old. There was a lot of just financial trouble growing up.
Got it.
I'm like one of the kids who had like a paper route.
Wow. So you've been an entrepreneur since early days. Yeah.
It was very much because I wanted to
Out of
go.
necessity to some degree. Yeah.
Yes. Wanted to do the things. Wanted some wanted some new
Some
clothes.
funny money, as they say.
Exactly. But then my parents, we moved down to Sacramento again. I got my first full-time job there at a mortgage company, which was great, and then did college at night. And then eventually I moved up to Seattle for a very brief period and then moved back down to San Diego, where I met my husband, and we had a whirlwind romance, got married, had a baby, and then Bitchin Sauce happened about a year after that.
Wow. So all that quick. That's crazy.
Yep.
All right. So, I read in your bio, or I read somewhere in the research that when you initially started going to farmers markets, you didn't have the idea of selling the sauce. You were promoting like a home chef business or like something to do with more booking you as like a culinary expert. But then you just saw like all the people were just going crazy over the sauce. When did it kind of click that the sauce was the thing, like that was the business opportunity? Was it pretty fast?
Immediately.
Wow.
Well, I would say not immediately. I think immediately I was a little disappointed because
So what was the initial intention like when you went to the farmer's market? Like what were you trying to launch with?
I had landed this amazing position where I could bring my son and be a personal chef's apprentice.
I
And
love that.
I was nannying her son and my son at the same time.
That's so cool.
And then she was teaching
And then learning
me,
from her at the
she
same
was
time.
she was teaching me how to cook at the same time.
And was she specializing in vegan stuff too, or
No,
okay,
not at all. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I learned from her was she would say, "Hey, they canceled. I'm still going to charge them." And I was like shocked. I was like, what do you mean? And she just, the real root of that was that she's like, you value yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Which was like so unique to me. I was like, oh my gosh. But she ended up going on vacation for like summertime, and I was still need to make money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I actually went out and started marketing myself as a personal chef. I got a couple of little gigs in Rancho Santa Fe,
Yeah.
which was so fun and just such a great learning experience. But ultimately, I realized that if I wanted to have enough money to make ends meet, I needed to go and market on a broader scale.
Yeah.
So my great idea was I will go to the farmers markets. They will taste my food,
I love that.
right?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
It does totally. I think
Except that I cooked all night. I made, all of the muffins and the pies, and there's so much that goes into it beforehand, right? Because you need to have your insurance, you need to have your food safety manager card. This was not just a overnight, ooh, the market will take me.
yeah, there's a lot of setup. People sometimes you think farmers markets look kind of like a mom and pop and rinky dink, but there's a lot of work that goes into even just getting accepted into them. And it's there's a lot of gatekeeping, I would imagine, and people who kind of allow who comes in and out. But you to some degree you want to maintain quality. You want to make sure it doesn't turn into a flea market selling tchotchkes and stuff like that, and you're providing a real value to the community. And the type of consumer that goes to the farmer's market is willing to pay more because they know where their food's, they want a relationship with their food essentially, and the people that bring it to them each week.
How did you know about the gatekeeping? I
Well,
thought that was
I've heard a little bit about from some other like amazingly like Burt's Bees started at a farmer's market too. Like there's a lot of you're one of the more recent stories of a brand that kind of exploded out of the farmer's market scene, but it's not totally uncommon for brands to start there. And maybe we'll get into a little bit more about why you thought that would be the right audience to continue to market it. But so I'm curious, like when did the light turn on? Kind of, you're there with all the stuff that you had cooked all night. You're marketing yourself as a personal chef. When did you, where you're like, nope, that's not it. We're gonna go all in on the sauce.
so I had cooked all night these baked goods.
Mm-hmm.
No one bought them. Maybe like one or two things, but like it was like no one bought them. I poured my whole heart into it, and then it was like, but the sauce was also there, and then that had taken like 30 minutes to prepare.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it was very much this like, okay, like, and we sold out of it. And granted, my mother-in-law, who was so wonderful and was there to support us and taking pictures, she bought some of them. But it was just like an eye-opening thing for me where I realized that people would just buy a product.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really had no true concept of that prior to that experience. But I was a very fast learner, and I immediately went and like painted over my sign that had my
Came back the next week with just sauce.
exactly.
I love it. What is it about the hero ingredient of almonds? Why do you think almonds? Because like when I first tried Bitchin Sauce, I didn't even realize it was made from almonds, and it was so good, so tasty. Like the spicy one is great, but it's almost like you try it and you're like, this can't be made from almonds. Almost is like how I've kind of felt. It's like almonds are great, but it's like I think about just having them as a snack, like trail mix or something like that. I never think of it as like a base for something other than that. But when did you start realizing that almonds could be this hero ingredient? And you were a bit of an innovator there. There's not a lot of almond based, products, at least that I'm aware of, except like flours and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's such high praise. I really appreciate that. Almonds, I will geek out on almonds.
Yeah.
So very much, a California crop.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that is domestically we've really figured out, but it comes from Europe, and there's so much. Oh, sorry, I really do just get like kind of excited.
I love it. Well, also Almagnac is the oldest spirit that's ever been distilled, before grapes even. Yeah, so it's like one of the first spirits too. Yeah.
So almond
Almagnac.
trees are one of the oldest domesticated trees, like crops.
Okay.
And the way they're actually like super poisonous for you. The bitter almond, their like original species, is very, very like it's cyanide. It will kill you.
That's crazy.
But then in domesticating it, they turn it into this sweet almond that is now just like the greatest thing in the world. It has the nutritional profile is amazing, but also the versatility is really great because you can have it in a trail mix, but it has a very creamy consistency if left in its raw or natural format. So I really like almonds a lot, but I just am a
Are
little
you
bit
still
of a geek.
vegan now?
I'm not vegan.
Yeah, but
no.
so the only reason I ask is my wife convinced our family before we had our first daughter to be raw vegans and then raw vegans.
There you go.
And then one day she came back from like a doctor's appointment, and they're like, "You're not getting enough iron. Like you really have a problem.
Yeah.
This isn't like good for the pregnancy." And like she immediately came home with like a package of short ribs and was like, "All right, I need you to cook these for me." Like, what? And I had never gone. I was kind of like what you're talking about, like the flexitarian, where I was vegan at home, but if I was out and about, like at a restaurant or on a business trip, or like I would just kind of let myself dabble in other things. But I supported her at home, and like when we would go to dinner. But I'd be curious, was it hard to maintain like a full vegan diet and lifestyle? And when did you kind of see the benefits of maybe being a little bit more versatile?
So yeah, I definitely mirror your experience there. When I was pregnant with my first child, I have 5 kids now,
Wow,
but when
that's
I was
awesome.
pregnant with the first one, I just remember craving an egg.
Yeah, protein.
And it was so, the way I prepared it even was so gross. I was like, I'm just going to boil this egg. I'd never had a boiled egg in my life. I was like, here is a boiled egg and a potato that's been boiled, and this is all I want to eat. And I think it's really great the way that your body just tells you what you need.
Yeah.
Right. And you get what you need. And then that, it started with a boiled egg and a and a boiled potato. And then, a couple months later, I was like, why do I want a hot dog?
Those
No one,
pregnancy cravings are real, huh?
yeah. And since then, I think I just have maybe a slightly different approach to food, where the main goal for me is, how is this a source of community? Because I believe that it's really important to eat with people and have that be like a communal moment.
Yeah.
And I believe that the gratitude that's associated with that is really important. So a little bit less of the dietary restrictions and a little bit more of the, I guess, communal celebration.
I love that. Yeah. Food is like a place to literally break bread with others and,
Exactly.
have that relationship building. I love that. All right. So, farmer's market, early days was obvious, but, what do you think it is about the type of person that shops at a farmer's market that responded so well to Bitchin Sauce? Because, I've gone through periods of time where I'm like heavy farmer's market, and then I'll do like, CSA delivery box, each week. So I have seasonal stuff and I don't have to spend as much time going to farmers markets, picking things out. It's a big commitment. But there is a type of, and then also like with just the explosion of like direct to consumer, like being able to buy, wild salmon from Alaska, or buy your steaks and sausages from producers that live on a ranch, somewhere in Oregon or Ohio or something like that. Like the direct to consumer food movement is pretty awesome right now. Like, just being able to spin up a Shopify shop and sell directly to your consumers. But what do you think it is about the the farmers market shopper that just really resonated with the product so much?
I think a lot of this has to do with timing.
Interesting. Okay.
And this was something I learned later on after, just kind of being in the industry for a little bit. I heard this thing that Alton Brown had spoken about, where he talked about, the launch of the Food Network and why it was so successful at the time. And it was because it was post 9/11. And there was this increased desire to have just this like home cooked, cozy feeling. And
It's like a national coping mechanism almost, in a way, or like a way to cope with this like national trauma almost, in a way. Yeah.
exactly. And I believe that when we launched, which is a really interesting time, it was timing for us too, which it's nothing short of miraculous. But it was at this moment where, it was kind of, I don't know if it was the Great Recession or what it was called, but
post 2008. Yeah.
it was post 2008, and travel was down. People weren't able to go and have these big worldly experiences. And so they really sought out the farmer's market as an opportunity to go and have, this is my time in Italy, but just walking through and
I love that.
and enjoying something that felt very cultural and very different and very unique. And I think
Different than the American shopping at a supermarket, kind of mass food kind of type stuff. Yeah.
exactly. And that was where those, that's where their money was being poured. It was something that was an indulgence almost.
Yeah.
And I think that still exists today. But
Oh yeah. I know in my budget, like the last thing I'll cut is travel and food. Like I'll go in debt to have good quality food if I have to. Yeah.
we'll have cold showers.
Right. I love that. So that's great. So you kind of saw it like it was this moment in time where just, people were going to the farmer's market as much as like shopping for staples and necessities. It was almost like a experiential, an experience.
It was very much.
I love that. So, so tell us about so you have this first, stand, you're paint over your signs. You're now in the almond dip business. Did you continue to expand out? Did you start expanding out to other farmers markets? Like, how did you grow from that first operation at one? And what farmers market did you go to first?
The very first one was in San Marcos.
Interesting. Okay, the one by the courthouse.
By the No, in the college.
Oh, okay, got it. Yep, by the
And
university.
it was a Tuesday, and it was like it was great. They were so sweet to let us in there,
So cool.
you know.
Yeah. And then did you expand out to like sending people to farmers markets all over San Diego and then like a bigger footprint in Southern California? How did you start to expand and keep up with production and all of that?
So yeah, it was a one market becomes two, becomes three, becomes four, and it was just kind of a saucing whenever you could, and then sending people out. But eventually, like I had rallied my entire family, and we were living prior to this, like we were living outside of our means, in a big kind of mansion-y thing.
Yeah.
So we moved to the shanty mansion, which was like, like I think it's less than 2,000 square feet. And basically, this is a hard thing to convince your family to do. But I was like, we will all move together. We will live here. We will not be in debt. And we will rally. Like everyone's going to do a job. It's a farmer's market. It's squeezing lemons. It's all these different things that need to be done. But like, this is what needs to be done. And it's a really like difficult line to draw when you have, multi generations of a family living in the same spot. And then also family friends.
Yeah, so it's really like a community effort almost in a way, right?
Such a community effort. And
That's
the family
so cool.
friends are always like, we don't have to listen to you. Like, you're like, come on.
It's like co-op.
You have to make it seem fun.
Yeah, right.
Like to get people involved and to make them want, and you have to like, be like, it's going to work.
Yeah.
Like these are the hardest things I think as a leader.
Do you think in the early days people weren't quite 100% convinced that it wasn't like a hobby or, something that like when did you think that like you were onto something that definitely had like enterprise potential?
I think everyone was shocked for a really long time that it was, but again, it was a dire moment. And so I think they moved into the house without realizing that they were now going to be doing Bitchin Sauce. I do. I think of like my poor mom who was just asleep one night and I was like, Mom, I need you to do a market tomorrow. And she just was like, no.
It's wild. So, how did you start to get the attention? Well, actually, let's talk about the brand.
Okay.
So, obviously a little risque, with like kind of the wording and stuff. How did you come up with the brand idea originally? When you went from like sampling it as a personal chef to like, hey, we're going to brand this thing Bitchin Sauce, which obviously has, it's flirting with the edges a little bit on kind of the risque side. Did you give any, like, what was the consideration into the branding and the idea and the name? And did you think that might, rub a conservative grocer down the line that maybe the wrong way, or would that maybe ruffle feathers? I'd be kind of curious, how did the brand come along, and was it always responded to positively, or did it cause you any problems along the way?
Yeah, thinking about it more probably would have been a circumspect approach. I did not think about it that much.
Sure.
So I had the business that was the personal chef business was called the Pie Smith, and it had this. I actually have like I don't have the degree, but I have all the credits for a graphic design degree.
Let's go.
And I had made my logo and it was so cute. And it was just like the Pie Smith. This is so fun. Cause I made vegan pies and I loved making vegan pies. And so then I was like, I want to, I'm bringing the sauce here. It's the day before the market. But I knew I didn't want to call it almond sauce because I knew that it was off-putting to people.
So you thought people kind of like me, like I just found the sauce and I wasn't looking for anything almond based. It was just a great sauce, like the same way that you would get tzatziki or something fun to dip bread in or crackers or something like that. It wasn't, something that you weren't like going out and saying like, I'm looking for an almond spread, right? It was like almost like something you had to discover.
You had to discover it. You had to taste it.
Yeah.
You had to think it was cool. And really it was an uphill battle because, the prior nut dips are Nutella. So we're battling something that's like
kind of big,
sweet.
Big, almost. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
So being like, you should try this savory almond dip I was like, I'm not going to do that. What I will do is I'm going to make this sound cool because people like things that are cool.
Yeah, totally. Little rebel little bit of a rebellion in the branding in a way,
Yeah,
maybe.
keeping it fun. So, anyways, my first thought was I will call it Awesome Sauce, but Awesome Sauce was taken, and so then I literally had no time, and alphabetically the synonyms, it was like Awesome Bitchin, and we are surfer people from California,
Yeah.
and it just didn't even occur to me that it could be taken any other way.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an uphill battle there too, as we, expanded, where people were coming back and being like, why would you call it this? And I'm like, I guess this is more cultural than we realized.
Yeah.
But I ended up, making like a laminated 8x10 that had the definition. And when I looked up the definition, I was like, oh geez, there are some like weird connotations with this. And I edited it. It was like, this is what our version means.
This is what you stand for, what the brand is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like this almost in kind of a way, a little bit of like a lifestyle, like the way that acai is associated with surfing and kind of Southern Cal. It's like these kind of like born and bred in Southern California, whether it's food brands like Bitchin Sauce or acai, or like clothing brands like Viore, et cetera. It's kind of like embodies like the Southern California lifestyle of being outdoors and being in the ocean and being at the beach and stuff like that.
Yeah, being healthy.
I love that. Very cool. All right. So when did it start? When did you kind of get lift off out of kind of the farmers market being your channel? And when did you see the opportunity for kind of more widespread mainstream adoption from a distribution standpoint? What was that like?
I mean, the markets got to be like 26 in a week. That's a ton of markets.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And then, we had rainy days, and I felt a lot of responsibility towards all the people that worked for us, where I was like, wow, like a rainy day really hurts a lot
Interesting.
for us. And we had a really short shelf life too.
Oh yeah, because it's a refrigerated product, and you're probably not using a ton of preservatives and things like that. So you got to sell it if you make it.
Yeah, this was when we first started out. This was like a very hard 30-day shelf life. So like you can't take that to the market if you don't sell it like the next week. People get grumpy.
Yep.
So it was a thing where we, saw an opportunity to go indoors, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Into the refrigerated aisle of grocery.
And there was wonderful mom and pop shops in San Diego that just taught us how to do it. They basically, told us, they're like, you have to put like the Best By date on here. You have to get nutritional facts. You need a UPC. Like, here's how you're going to do it. And they really mentored us through it. And it just started with like one or two. And I remember the first day getting mailbox money.
Yeah.
Where I was like, this check just came from nowhere. Like, where'd this come? It was so great. But learning how to do that and delivering and doing the whole shebang. Invoicing is much different than a farmer's market. Learning how to do finances, and it started with that. But we started getting the attention of a lot bigger retailers also.
Interesting. So pretty quick, it went from specialty to kind of your more high end. Some of the retailers I named off before are associated with kind of the lifestyle of the farmer's market, right? They've imported the farmer's market, like Sprouts, basically they brand themselves as a indoor farmers market, or a farmers market you can visit, 7 days a week, and not just on Tuesdays at noon, or the way that farmers markets are. I imagine also some of these specialty grocers gave you the opportunity that the farmers market did too, which is sampling, right? The opportunity to activate on premise. How important did that become as part of your strategy, like to be able to use these retail relationships, not just as a retail partner, but an opportunity to get samples in people's hands, let them try it?
Some of the earliest ones that we were in would do passive samples, which was
cool.
the greatest.
Okay.
It's when you had the dome out and you could just go and
just do it at your own. You didn't require like a body or somebody to be there to explain it and talk to customers and stuff like that.
The most effective. And actually, like, we even had noticed that at the farmers markets, that sometimes it was a tactic that you would like turn around and go and just shuffle in the ice with the tubs.
Because people are a lot more likely to sample when they don't feel like they're not bothering anybody or they're not like taking advantage.
Exactly. It was a very strange
That
phenomenon.
is an interesting human insight, right? Like we're fine to grab a sample when no one's looking, but we don't.
Exactly. I will say though that so Costco found us at the farmers market, and
Wow, that's pretty cool.
it was a big deal. And
Yeah.
they invited us in to do road shows, and they were again just tremendous mentors. Like walked us through just elevating the standards of our operation so much, and really being able to sample that wide scale was amazing. Because now it was like a farmer's market, which maybe a few hundred to 1,000 people, and now it's just like thousands of people a day. So definitely it helped. Like sampling is a big deal, and we continue to sample all the time, and we continue to do road shows all the time.
Interesting. So what was the first account you went in that got you guys national exposure?
National exposure? I guess national, it was Whole Foods.
Interesting.
Which we got in
pre-Amazon or post?
Pre.
Interesting.
And we got in on their what was it, the Forager program.
Okay.
And man, again, they worked with us so well. They just were like, here's 4 stores. We're like, please, can we have more stores? Gave us like, here's 10, here's 30, and here's the Rockies, here's like Denver, and everything exploded when we tried to go to Denver.
Interesting. What do you think it was about Denver, the culture there, and the mindset that just responded to it so well?
Oh no, I meant the sauce exploded.
Oh, because of the altitude. So good.
No, the sauce exploded, and this short shelf life. We're trying to get all the sauce over there, and just like, oh my gosh, like this is impossible. How are we going to make it east? How are we going to grow? And eventually, we tried a few different things, but eventually we found HPP, which allowed our shelf life to be maintained and to be able to travel distances without compromising the ingredients or the nutritional or the taste, which was like such a
And for those who aren't familiar with HPP, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes. I love HPP too, because this is where I geek out a little bit. So HPP is basically like you take something and you drop it to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and the pressure is so intense that it denatures any like icky biotics that could make you sick.
Yeah.
But it retains like the rest of the good stuff, basically.
That's awesome. Okay.
But yeah.
So it basically like shelf stabilizes ingredients that normally would start to spoil after a period of time.
Shelf stabilizing would be great. It doesn't do it to that degree. No, it definitely it maintains the integrity of the freshness of the product. And so it's definitely still very perishable, but it's not
dangerous.
It's not dangerous.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. All right. So I wanted to ask you about some of your kind of corporate philosophy. So, you have, you're a mom of 5. We've talked a little bit about this idea of the Bitchin Kids program, basically creating on-site childcare and a stipend for reimbursements because you hated the idea of parents or your employees having to, basically not have to choose between a career and being a parent. How did that kind of play into your own life, and why was that an important thing to embed in the culture of Bitchin?
I believe strongly in families. When my husband and I were first pregnant, a lot of people were really afraid for us. And I think part of that is the culture of just like, you're in California, you didn't get your degree yet.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to make it.
You're putting life on pause, or you're starting too early, some of those stereotypes.
It was a lot of like, your life is going to end.
Wow.
And people not afraid to say those words.
That is crazy.
And I thought, I just never want anyone else to feel that way. Or to be told that, because I actually think, after having our son, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, this is so fun for me and my husband to be parents, and this child is phenomenal, and miraculously, like, we're keeping him alive. Like, how great. And I was like, I never want anyone to have that joy taken from them. But I do realize that a lot of it comes down to, this financial concern of like, we just can't handle this baby.
Yeah.
And And so for me, especially going back into the workforce after having him, I was like, I'm not going to go and earn $14 an hour in order to pay $13 an hour
Yeah.
for
A lot
childcare.
of times it just doesn't. I mean, even white collar, middle class jobs don't always, like one thing working in like food manufacturing or something like that. But even being a good executive, well, I mean, my wife kind of bought into the lie for a long time that, she had to put her career on hold and raise our kids. And I'm grateful that she did. But now she's contributing just as much to our business and our financial lives as ever. And now we've got three, So it is kind of a myth. Like there is ways to make it work, right?
There are ways to make it work.
Yeah.
And the baby, you can take care of the babies. We can
Yep.
take care of them. But yeah, at the time with Bitchin Kids, I mean, I just had brought my children with me to work
Yeah.
and figured out how to, I don't know, keep an eye on and make sure they weren't getting in trouble. But I realized that it was broader than just our own.
Yeah. Your own circumstances. Yep.
And that there was other people who were struggling with the same thing. So we made Bitchin Kids. And really it was just like the heart work of our chief of staff. Her name is Amanda Miles. I was like, I just need you to figure out how to do this because like, how do you have like a childcare program? Like
in a corporate setting. Yeah.
In a corporate setting, in a food manufacturing facility. And she teamed up with she has since moved on to doing some stuff for her own family, but with our head of childcare, Ashley Hawkins, who did an amazing job, and they put it together and they made the most exquisite program where they were just taking such good care of the children. They were potty training the children. They would like come and alert the parents when it's like, your kid's about to have a great milestone, like walking. Like it was really.
So the parents, not only did they have like on-site childcare, but they didn't have to miss out on like important moments as the child's developing. And
Exactly. And it came not a moment too soon because then right after that, all the schools shut down.
Oh, the COVID stuff. Yeah.
And we went from having tiny babies that we were like, oh yeah, we know what we're doing with this. Like, just a few of them, 6 to 10, to all of a sudden it was like 25.
Now you're like a homeschool co-op.
We were.
Wow.
It was wild. It was crazy, but so necessary at the time.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I ended up moving back to San Diego because when COVID hit, I was in Santa Barbara at the time. Loved Santa Barbara, grew up there, but the schools weren't opening up anytime in Santa Barbara, unfortunately. So we went that first spring break or whatever, where they like sent all the kids home for spring break and said they're not coming back. Like, okay, this is weird. And then by summer, we were like in our RV, like traveling around the country. And then by the next school year, we're like, well, we started hearing in San Diego that these like homeschool co-ops were popping up where it was like 250 kids at this church and 650 kids at this church. And it was a way to like, I don't want to say skate the rules, but like to some degree, it's like, okay, well, if there are options where your kids can go to school, go back to normal sooner than in the public school setting or even a private school setting, parents are going to find a way.
Definitely. Yeah. And definitely if your livelihood is attached to that, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was something that kind of got glazed over. It was like, do I stay home and watch my baby?
Yep.
Or do I go and earn money for my family?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a rough time.
Yeah, for sure. So have you been able to continue to embed that into your culture, use it as a marketing opportunity, a recruiting opportunity, a retention? It feels like kind of like, the expansion of a family business almost in a way of like really treating like a growing company as still having roots of a family business has almost been kind of core to your DNA. So is that how you guys have continued to grow in some ways?
Definitely, recruiting and retention for sure. I think it's been very helpful. We've been maybe not like, it took a while for us to be like, we should tell people about this.
Yeah.
Because
you almost kind of wanted to keep it a secret to some degree.
I just didn't want to make it a thing that was about how cool we are.
Yeah,
the sauce is really cool, but I didn't want to be like, and look at how cool we are giving in this way, until I realized that other companies actually,
care,
they needed some inspiration too.
And people buy product, especially Gen Z and millennials support companies that have core values that they can identify with too. They shop with their pocketbooks follow, their larger identity on supporting companies that want to align with their values.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My favorite conversations has been with other companies though who are like, "How did you do this program?" And I'm like, I will direct you to the people who figured it out.
So good. That's
I just had
awesome.
the idea.
I love it. So it's almost been a way for you guys to engage with the broader community of kind of the natural foods industry and specialty manufacturing foods industry.
Definitely.
Nice. All right. So talk about how the marketing has changed as you guys have grown. I imagine things like social, you're very grassroots, point of sale oriented, sample oriented. Then you've got opportunities, obviously, with social media, I'm sure. And then there's this new exploding trend of this idea of like the retail media network or the commerce media network, where now basically any retailer that either stores data, has data around customers, or sells things, they want to monetize those eyeballs. Have you kind of noticed that, now in the grocery space, especially, like there's this kind of push for like, I don't want to call it pay to play, but like there is this idea to some degree where you've got to, engage in kind of these retail media ecosystems. Like, has that been beneficial? Have you guys been able to take advantage of that, or how do you see it from the producer's side? What do you think about this kind of explosion of the retail media channel and the shopper channel? How important is that to your growth?
Finding the right audience to build a media plan requires hours of research. And optimizing campaigns is time-consuming and a bit of a guessing game. That's why we built technology to do it for you. Strike Social.
I love how much it's improved over the years.
Interesting. Okay.
It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And there's just but it's something that you have to keep up with because it's just constantly changing and the opportunities are constantly changing and it is very competitive.
Yeah.
And our team had gone through a decade of me being like, we're never going to spend money on an influencer. We will give, because I felt like it was just
It's inauthentic. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, if they like it, they'll post it.
Yeah.
And they did. A lot of people did.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And we, would send free product to people for sure. Be like, try this. But so our team.
Sampling in the digital world almost. It's very kind of core to your original ethos, right? Like if you try it, you'll talk about it. You'll have that word of mouth effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And real sampling, we've continued to do that. Demos at stores have been a continual thing for us. But no, like you were using words that I know what you're talking about, but it's what retailer commerce, what is it?
Retail media, commerce media. Yeah.
I love that stuff so much, actually. I just remember, getting with our VP of Ops and being like, this is so fun. This is like day trading with like, we're bidding for stuff on Instacart, and now it's just like, it's getting broader and broader. And it's a constant thing of like, well, what keywords would work? And me being like, how about diapers? They're like, diapers makes no sense. I'm like, you don't know that yet.
Right.
You should try it. Maybe it makes sense.
I love that. Yeah,
It
kind
never-
of thinking to the adjacencies that would make sense for the shopper.
Yeah, or the adjacencies, and then also like where is the least amount of competition, and how can we get in
So
there?
almost gaming it a little bit. Yeah, I love it.
That's fun.
Yeah, so talk about the influencer strategy a little bit. So I see where I can definitely see what you mean. Is that mine?
Fine.
We'll cut that.
It wasn't me.
So yeah, I think it was maybe my computer. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, we're good. Good time for a break. All right, so talk a little bit about the influencer strategy. So I get the idea of kind of wanting to have, a peer play strategy to like, work with influencers organically and the sampling idea and stuff like that. But then there's this other side to the coin where that's kind of what these creators do for a living. They want to be compensated. Have you found ways to kind of participate in the pay-to-play ecosystem of influencer marketing while still remaining authentic, to not feel like you're, just slapping your label on, somebody's list of partners that they work with. Is there a way to do influencer marketing from your perspective in this category in a way that is authentic?
I'm not the expert on this.
Yeah.
And I wish I was. I wish I could figure it out. But I will say that I did put myself out there as not an influencer, but maybe just like hey, how do we talk about this more on social media?
Sure.
And I have tremendous respect for the amount of work that goes into looking pretty for the camera. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And then you have to have everyone be quiet, and then you have to have perfect lighting, and you have to make sure your road is charged and everything. So we're still figuring that out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's also just evolving so much. All of a sudden now people are able to, have ads on ChatGPT. So how are we going to keep up with this?
Yeah, it's
and
kind of...
what is the next phase? Do we try to catch up with whatever we missed by being the authentic brand that didn't do any influencer marketing, or do we look forward to the next phase?
Yeah. Well, you brought up something else that's interesting, is this idea of kind of the founder-led brand, right? Like the idea that you as the CEO, people buy from people now, and they want to support companies where they feel like they have a relationship with the founder. Like they, Poppy is a great example, of where some of these new challenger brands that are popping up, especially when they're going after giants like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or kind of like big food, almost as like a nemesis that they can kind of push up against. There's this other really cool brand called Midday Squares, where Carl, who's the CEO, he kind of sees himself as his only job is to do social media and do speaking engagements. He's basically basically an ambassador for the brand, is kind of where he sees his role in generating earned media for the company. Seems like obviously you're, open to coming on podcasts and having these types of conversations. So is that a skill set that came naturally to you? Did you want to be on camera? Did you want to be more behind the scenes? And has your thoughts on how, the founder-led brand is, and the emergence of it, even with big companies like Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg trying to rehabilitate his image by being like a jiu-jitsu guy that goes on Joe Rogan and stuff like that. Do you see it as something that is kind of a necessity now?
It does seem like there's a big demand for it. I will say that in early days, I auditioned for the next Food Network star.
So it was always something that you were. It was never something that you were uncomfortable with the idea of.
I didn't know what it meant at the time, and I thought it sounded glamorous. And then I married a musician who was on tour all the time, and realized that I actually did not love that.
Yeah.
But as I'm, continuing to mature, it's something that I realized really it's the best opportunity to give people inspiration that maybe you don't know that they need. And a lot of it just comes from an experience that could help someone to believe strongly for something in their life.
Yeah.
And I think that is the only reason to do it.
Yeah, they can form a personal connection with the brand other than it's just I like it, it tastes good. It kind of becomes more of something that they think about from a personal connection perspective. I love it. All right, let's talk about trade marketing a little bit. So, you guys are pretty big at Expo. You guys are famous for having a Third Eye Blind concert a couple of years ago. How important are those kind of cultural, or let's call them flagship moments in the marketing calendar in the specialty food industry? Expo, there's a few others, but how important is that to, your yearly calendar of getting out there and getting in front of the right people to grow the business?
This is a tremendous question. So the food shows are all a little bit different.
Yep.
And we've tried a few new ones this year, which have had really great results. Expo is definitely, it feels like more of just seeing your friends and what are they doing, and here's the new innovation, and that's why we decided to throw a huge party. It was a huge, huge party. Some of the other shows are very much more buyer oriented.
More transactional, less show and tell.
Exactly. And those mattered a lot in the early days as we were pushing out east. We had a kind of a lull, I think, where it was like, oh man, everyone's kind of just doing this. Like, it just felt like a lull. But now we have brand new buyers everywhere. And so now it's like it's become a new necessity for us where we're going to these shows so that we can meet with our new buyers. And they've been really fun, actually. Cool.
Have you guys expanded globally yet? Or are you still nationwide?
We have expanded globally.
Nice. What are some of the markets that you're tackling right now?
So we've been in Mexico, Canada. Actually, sometimes like I'll get little reports where I'm like, wow, I didn't know we were there. But we've also been in Australia, New Zealand, Korea, China. Some of the stuff has been disrupted a little bit with tariff times of the past year, but they've been really great markets for us.
Are the flavors different like in Mexico?
No, everyone just loves Chipotle.
They just love that OG.
They love it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
That's very cool. All right, so you're on to the next innovation with expanding past dips and into a new line of Bitchin chips, crisped in California almond oil. What was the strategic framework in deciding when you have earned the right to step out of your core category and kind of cross over into a new aisle? Feels like a little bit of like the vertical integration of this chip snacking. Like, hey, why not get into the thing that people are dipping into the sauce? So what was that insight? When did you think it was time to expand and open into another category? And how do you do that while still maintaining the core identity of the OG?
Did you know that Tostitos just did this? And now they just went into the refrigerated dip aisle.
They went the other direction.
I was like, oh. It's all right. You know, one good idea. Everyone has the same good idea. For us, we've made chips, or not made chips, but we have had chips and had them, I guess, made for us for farmers markets. This is actually a very long-term thing. And
so the chips that you were basically using for the sampling was something that was, you weren't really marketing them or selling them, but you were manufacturing them for your own process.
We were selling them.
Oh, interesting.
And they were delicious.
Let's go.
So good. But we weren't able to figure out scale. And as, you know, we're like, okay, we're going to go chips. We're going to go broad. So this has actually been a project over the past like 2 years where it started. My cousin found, he's our head of procurement. Oh, he's our director of ops. Sorry. But he basically was like, I found almond oil. I was like, how? It's impossible to find because everywhere that has it is selling it in like 3-ounce bottles for whatever, $20.
Wow. So it's super expensive and kind of a super specialty. Yeah.
So expensive, so specialty. But he's like, no, I found a supplier and we can do this. And so had done R&D testing for a while, figured out the perfect chip, the best crunch. Like our chip is like meant to be dipped.
Let's go.
It's not going to shatter. They're really, really good.
So it's like chips for dipping specifically.
Chips for dipping. And so now I understand how people are like, you know, should you be in this space? It's a chip.
It feels kind of natural, honestly. Like, especially in now hearing that like this wasn't just something like, oh, you came up with it out of the blue. It's like, no, you guys have been doing chips from the beginning, from the farmers market days, because it's like goes hand to hand. And to some degree, you want to control the product experience, right? Because one of the things that I notice is like I'll get Bitchin Sauce or something else, and then I'll get like weak chips from the grocery store that crack when you try to put it through anything that has any kind of pressure, that doesn't, like, even like salsa and like guacamole, like some of these chips just like don't stand up and they're not great quality. So to some degree, if you really want to own the chip dipping experience from start to finish, you almost have to have both sides of the coin, right?
Gotta do it.
Yeah.
We're so thrilled with how good they are that we're like, we are immediately expanding chips. We're going to make all of the chips. This is so exciting. But yeah, so, and then those have launched, like they're launching nationwide. It's really,
how's it going?
It's great. Everyone it's like, this is the best chip. And that's my heart too, where I'm like this, when it wasn't nationwide and we were just getting samples, like as soon as like we ran out of our samples, it's so sad. My samples, my chips, but it's been great. Yeah.
And is the you mentioned wanting to expand even so tell us about kind of the product innovation of almond oil and the chip. So is it like drizzled and baked into it, or like what is it about the almond oil that makes the chip so delicious?
It's deep fried.
It's deep fried.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
go.
This
Okay.
is cantina style and
Nice.
it tastes like it. It's got that nice must be bad for me. Except that it's really not. And actually
Interesting.
we're working right now on getting our like certification for health claims.
Wow.
That will let everyone know exactly how good it is for you.
Being able to deep fry it in almond oil specifically. That's wild. So should people be deep frying other things in almond oil?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I think so.
I love it. That's very cool. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of, your thought leadership, if you will, or your personal brand kind of intersecting with the master brand. You just put out the second edition of your cookbook, Sauce 30 Bitchin Bowls. You talked about this early days of, auditioning for the Food Channel and wanting to be a professional chef. Why do you think storytelling through culinary education and recipes is an important part of the marketing loop and something that you continue to invest your own personal time and your personal brand into?
I think kind of going back to what I said about it being a communal experience,
Yeah.
eating together, I really believe in the storytelling that goes behind food. So basically every bowl that is in that cookbook, which we just did our first book signing today, which was so fun.
Let's go.
But
How'd it go?
it was terrifying. No, it was great. It was great. It was so wonderful. It was in Carlsbad, and so it was like, oh, we're good, our homies.
Nice.
But no, every single recipe is something that I feel like I have a story attached to. And then when I'm cooking, I'm trying to explain why it matters to me. When I was doing like the videos, and I think that people want the story. They want to know everything behind it. They want to know why it matters versus just fuel.
Yeah, why it matters, what went into it, the history. It's like people want this kind of a connection to the food that they love, whether it's, knowing where your ingredients come from or going on a vacation and making salsa in Cancun with the head chef of the hotel or something like that. It's like those are the things that kind of impress the stories we tell around food and how they embed in our memories. Like you were saying, either for me, it's very, I love to travel and eat and have food experiences when I'm traveling, whether it's, that experience that I literally had at a hotel in Tulum where like the head chef of the restaurant had my family sit around a table and like crush salsa and, learn about the history of all the ingredients and why it's important to the local indigenous culture. But then getting to have that experience and then like take everything that you made to a table and then eat it with your meal. Like I've told that story on podcasts, on stages to people probably 100 times, right? It's like the story of the food is what, people like to share, right?
Yep.
love
Lasts a lot longer than the
Amazing.
food itself.
Well, I wanted to give you a gift from one of our
Aw.
sponsors. So this is Lost In as a travel guide publisher. They make 29 travel guides of places to adventure around the world and have second city experiences and live and travel like a local. So hope you enjoy that next time you're in Venice Beach, California.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on that note, if people at home want to continue to follow along, learn more about the cookbook, follow along with your thinking, where do you want to send the folks at home to learn more about Bitchin Sauce and stay in touch and keep up to date with you?
I think bitchinsauce.com or Instagram Bitchin Sauce. I don't know. I'm not quite. I'm not hip yet. I'm not
You're
up
good.
to
We
speed.
can link to it in the show notes, as they say.
TikTok.
Yeah, we'll do it. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming in today and telling us a little bit about your journey. Super inspiring and an amazing product. I've been enjoying it since I first started seeing it in farmers markets in San Diego, and we were all super excited. I think I felt like San Diego community was very much like when we started seeing it in Big's box stores. We were like, oh, this is awesome. Like this brand that we love that was kind of small has made it into the big time. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
We'll continue to follow along and be super excited to watch as you continue to grow. So thanks for coming on and spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for championing us.
Yeah, of course. And for all of you at home, if this is the first time you're seeing the show, don't forget to give us a follow or subscribe. If you're listening, an honest review on whatever podcast platform you might be listening on is how we find a larger audience. So go ahead and do that if you're so inclined. And most importantly, if there's an entrepreneur out there, maybe a mom who's thought about having to give up her career, or maybe wanting to come back to the workforce, or juggling with the idea, can you be a mom and be an entrepreneur, or be a mom and have a career at the same time, or just somebody who you think would benefit from the show that I had with Starr today, don't forget to share the show. And with that, I will see you all